Welcome, everybody, to Events We Like. This is Michelle Finnegan-Nixon, because audiences are looking to discover you, and so we do these to spotlight different speakers in our industry that we feel are making a difference in people's lives. And today I have the pleasure of announcing Caterina Rando. She is a gifted speaker, and I just want to make sure that Caterina is with us. Caterina, you there?
My friend, I am here. So excited to be with you.
Thank you so much for coming. Oh, my gosh. When we talk about events we like, you have so many. You know, it's unbelievable how many events you have year-round. So some of the folks listening on the call may not know who you are exactly, and so rather than reading a speaker sheet or some, pre-canned bio, I like to have my guests just simply give us a general idea of who they are and what made them become a speaker and decide to do events, because that is scary for some people. So apparently you have that confidence and you're sharing that message with others. So you want to go ahead and give us a little bit of a background on who you are and what inspired you to do these events that people are just blown away by?
Sure. Well, I have been a speaker, trainer, coach for about 25 years now, and I love being myself in my business, doing my thing, serving my people, living the life that I create for myself. And really it's been about the last 5 years that I've been able to say that and enjoy that, because at some point I got sick of dialing for dollars. And what that means is, as a speaker, you go, you do a keynote speech, they love you, they say, oh my gosh, you're the best speaker I ever had, we ever had, our group loved you. But then you say to them, well, great, you want to book me for next year, or you want to book me for your next event? And they say, oh, well, we have to have someone else. And the same clients book you every 2 years or every 5 years. So it's like every day you need to get a new job. And I just didn't like that. I decided I would book myself solid, book myself over and over, and that's when I started to do my own events. And it has been the most fulfilling thing I ever did for many, many reasons.
That's fantastic. And I really appreciate what you said, because when I read your speaker sheet, it said that you had been pretty much speaking since the 90s. And, I don't think a lot of people know just how long you've been speaking. I'm sure you've tried the gamut of every kind of thing to make this really successful so that you have this amazing career. And now you can, really teach people what you know. So how did you get started in speaking in the 90s? What was that like before the online came on?
Yeah, sure. I know. Predating online, going back to audio cassettes and going in the studio to record a podcast, or we didn't even have the word back then. Well, here's the truth. Many people come to speaking after they've had a successful corporate career, or after they've been a successful trainer for other companies, or super sales for somebody else. That is not my path. When I was in my late 20s, I owned a cafe and catering business. And I had a business coach. Her name was Laura Whitworth. And Laura Whitworth was one of the 3 founders of the Coaches Training Institute. And even before that, she was my business coach. And the thing is, I loved having a business, but I didn't love making sandwiches for a living and wearing tomato sauce every day. And with my coach, I was looking for my thing. And my coach thought I would make a good coach. Now, it's very funny, Michelle, today to think back at that time, because I was a very shy person. I didn't talk to a lot of people. And my coach saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And one of the key principles I encourage all business people to follow is to hold a bigger vision for your clients than they hold for themselves. So with Laura having a bigger vision for me, I began to think about the possibility of being a coach. And then one day a lady walked in my cafe, and she thanked me for some business advice that I had given her, and her gratitude literally touched my heart. I felt a pang of bliss in my heart, and I thought, hey, this is what I want to do with my life. Now, the reason I give you this answer, Michelle, is because when I started my coaching business, my business coaching business for helping entrepreneurs, I didn't know how to get clients. You know, when you have a cafe, you just put the sandwich board outside, you open the doors, and everybody comes in. It's very different than how most of us get our clients. So I started to speak, because speaking was a way to get clients easily and not have to really make sales calls or anything like that. So that's how I got started way back when, and it's still my favorite way to connect with people and serve them while picking up new clients.
Well, I just love that, especially your piece on shyness, because I am, my keynote is Behavior Police, Overcoming Approval Addiction, and that has to do with people pleasing and being shy and being, and overcoming shyness and being able to stand your ground. And so when I met you and I heard the expression, be loud and proud, that was so huge, because I was also a shy person, and it's hard to believe for anybody who's seen me perform on stage. But it took years to get to the point to get on stage and be comfortable in my own skin. And I had to take acting classes. I had to have that kind of coaching just to break out of that shell, that shyness shell. And you, it doesn't sound like you went that route. It sounds like you just started, getting out there, come what may. And I don't know if you had, if you were standing on stages and had coaches, tell you how to handle your nervousness, your jitters, or if you just took the bull by the horns and just did it, come what may. So I'm kind of curious about that. How did you conquer your fear?
Here's the interesting thing, Michelle. When you're a shy person, you tend to not have a lot of attention on you. And being shy plus being plus size, not feeling like the queen of the universe, the beautiful thing about speaking is when you're the speaker, you have permission to speak. So always, academically in high school, I always would take the oral presentation over the written presentation. I would always look for every opportunity to give a talk, because, that's you having permission to talk. And then, of course, it just continued. I just had a knack for it, as many of us do. And like you, I didn't necessarily take acting classes, but I was acting in school. I had the lead in the play, and my acting teacher was probably one of the people in my life, had most influence on me in my life, because she gave me the lead in the school play when I was a senior. I had the second lead when I was a junior, which none of the other juniors, only the seniors got the leads. So, that helped build confidence in me. And speaking is something that I guess I had a knack for. And like many of our listeners, I've had, hundreds of hours of speaking classes and all of that. And these days I just kind of throw that away in terms of, and what I mean by that is, there's too many people telling us how we're supposed to do it, and that what I teach in my speaking program is it's all about authenticity. It's not about drama. It's not about entertaining your audience, although not that you want to be having some times that you're a little bit entertaining, but you just want to be yourself, because when we're being a dramatic person in front of the room, or we're being how we think we're supposed to be, and we're not being ourselves, then we're not conveying authenticity to the audience. And there's a difference between being a keynote speaker and being a business person that wants to get clients. When you're a business person that wants to get clients, you want to be your authentic self. So I love when people take speaking classes. Of course, I teach speaking, but from an authenticity perspective, I don't want people to go to class and not be themselves, because that is what I believe is the best part of speaking, is being yourself and doing your thing and serving your people and attracting the people that feel they're a good match for you.
I completely agree. I also think there are, certain speaking situations and circumstances that require a different kind of speaker, like the motivational versus the inspirational versus the educational. And one of the things that I really appreciated about attending your Business Breakthrough and some other events that I was fortunate to be blessed with in seeing you live, was this idea that most people, when they think of speaking, they envision themselves in front of 100 people or 200 people or 500 people. And so they can't get started because they don't know how they're going to either book that speaking gig or how are they going to, sell enough tickets to make that happen. So they get discouraged very quickly. And what I appreciated from spending a little time with you is you can speak to one person. You don't have to speak to, hundreds when you're starting out. And if you're authentic and you're conversational, it's still speaking in front of a group, even if it's a group of one. And so I just kind of want to hear you shed some light on that, because you've been able to carve out a very successful, high-paying career with different size groups. And I think people need to know that they just need to get started.
Well, thanks, Michelle. People ask me often how I got started, and the truth is 3 gals and a flip chart around my dining room table, and you don't even need the flip chart. I would say we need more than one, because one is kind of a conversation, which is fine, and 2 is okay, 3 is great, and it's all good. And one of the things I teach that Michelle, is what I call the intimate intro, which is where one of your champions, which is someone that thinks you're incredible, usually a client, gets a group of people together and invites you to come and present. And it could be in someone's living room or dining room. I've even had 30 ladies in somebody's kitchen, and you do your thing and come home with clients. And, I remember one day I was off to do an intimate intro in somebody's home, and I had just come back from 3 days traveling after speaking at a conference with 100 people who were all my ideal clients. And at that conference of 100, I came home with 13 clients, and which was wonderful. And though I had to invest 3 days of my time, pay for staff, have the exhibit booth, pay for the exhibit booth, the hotel, blah, blah, blah. I'm away from my house for, 72 hours. And then I go and I do an intro in somebody's living room. I come home with 8 clients. Everybody signed up except the lady that was 8 months pregnant. And I thought, wow, this is really awesome. So because I was home for a late dinner. And the idea is that we think about, as you say, Michelle, we think about, hey, I want to be a keynote speaker. I want to travel the world and speak to huge audiences. And having done that and having loved that and still doing it, I'm getting ready to go on a big speaking trip right now. But the thing is, that is not the steady diet that is going to support you in massive monetization over the long haul if you want to not live on the road. Because let me tell you, the longer you do speaking, the more you will value sleeping in your own bed, the more you will get sick of airplanes and hotels and all of that. But also really from a time dollar perspective, for me, I find that when I can do speaking to smaller groups in my area and only have to leave for a few hours and back in my office I'm very, very happy. And then also, of course, that's when I do my own events. Most of those events are within driving distance. I even sleep at the hotel less and less these days. Just get up a little bit earlier, get to the hotel, teach all day, come home, do it again the next day. And that way I have much more of a normal life while still having an exciting training career, and coaching business. And also, really the other thing that I really want to point out, Michelle, which I know that you know is of value to me, and I think is of value to many of your listeners, is that when you do your thing in your area, a community of like-minded, like-hearted people is built up around you. And that is what you will never get on the road. I mean, it's wonderful to travel the world, and I've spoken in Venice, Italy, and New Zealand, and Acapulco, and Holland, and, of course, Canada. And those have been some of the highlights of my life. And they pale in comparison to seeing people come to my events, join my ongoing programs, and watch them flourish over time, watch them blossom, watch them massively monetize, watch them create their own communities and serve their people and get their dreams and get their goals. And that's what the traveling speaker will never get, that the speaker, trainer, coach who decides to do their own events in their own area, not that we don't do events out of the area as well, but by doing this, you create a lifestyle for yourself that is more rewarding than anything that you will ever get on the road.
Absolutely. And one of the things that I really appreciate that ties into this idea of competition. And one of the things that was told to me a long time ago was you only need 200 people in your program to make, you could make $100,000 a month with 200 people. And those 200 people, if they're loyal to you, will keep buying from you. They'll keep working with you. And so if you look at your location, because I kind of got stuck, I think a lot of people did, we were hearing SEO and we were hearing, pay-per-click ads and organic traffic to come to our websites, and we were relying on all this online technology to give us our leads so that we can close them over the phone, right? But in reality, if you just go old school and you go to enough mixers and enough events and you do these intro events you're talking about, in your own city, you can find your 200 people there. It's a lot easier. And I was talking to another coach, called me up, and he says, I've been asked to help someone in Simi Valley, and I live in Pennsylvania. You're in Ventura, Michelle. You should be helping this person in Simi Valley. It doesn't make any sense that they want to work with me in Pennsylvania. That was a real eye-opener. Being in your own community and building your brand there and becoming well-known in the community can take you there faster. And that's what I'm learning as, I do more meetups and more Chamber of Commerce and, more networking, finding out exactly what you're saying to be completely true. You have to build a presence in your community because it's a lot easier. And I really admire this idea that almost all your events are in your neck of the woods, and people love you so much that they're willing to travel to see you. And they're not concerned about, going all over the world with you. They're willing to go to your neck of the woods, which makes it real convenient for you, especially if you have a family. So what are your thoughts on that as far as...
Well, yeah, because, last year we did, Michelle, we did 96 days last year of our own events, my own events. And, of course, that was everything from intro events, like I talked about, the intimate intro that you do in somebody's living room. I did about 5 of those, and then I do public intros. I did about 10 of those, which are just 2 hours at a location in different geographic areas. Then I did my 2-day summits. We did about 12 of those. And then I did, I think, about 36 days of my advanced program training. And then I have a year-long elite mastermind group. We did 8 or 9 days of those. And then VIP days, about a handful of those. So that's a lot of days. And if you have to be jumping on a plane for all of that, it's just not a good use of your time. And you do know, of course, that last year and this year and next year we do our luxury retreat, our annual luxury retreat for women entrepreneurs. And we just came back from Hawaii with the one that we did this year. So people will travel, but that's not usually where they start. They don't usually start with an exciting destination. They'll want to come and spend time with you, a shorter amount of time with you, hopefully in an area that's closer first. And that is an important super tip that I'll just throw in here for our listeners, that we think that, we want to, I teach also, Michelle, doing your own events and retreats, and that it's important for people to start with a smaller event, a 1-day or a 2-day event, and then move on to a bigger event. The thing is that, you do want to think about your lifestyle, and being a runaround speaker on a regular basis just is not only not appealing, it's not satisfying like having a community. And when I was just Facebooking Michelle right before we got on the phone today about, how awesome our 2-day training is that we just did the last 2 days. All the ladies that were there, how excited they are, that, they're celebrating, they're connecting, they're sending messages, they're doing accountability calls. Because why? Because they know they're going to see each other again, and they are feeling supported. And so that's something that having group programs, building your own community really does. And as you're saying, with the 200 people, and I was, thinking, how many ladies do we have in our community? In our regular groups, it's about 140, but of course there's some that have already come through. And the idea is that many come back for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 programs over a course of 5 years. I have clients that have paid me $30,000, $28,000, $40,000 over the course of 4 or 5 years because they're getting so much value. Why would they go anywhere else? There's no reason for them to go anywhere else, not just because of the value my programs bring, but because of the great relationships they have and the support and the community. And I tell them, I said to them yesterday, hey, we're going to have our Thriving Women in Business retirement community when we're all ready to not do this so much. And the truth is, Michelle, I'm not kidding, because why would I ever want to not hang out with these incredible women that I get to now?
Well, that's how I feel about your community. I just want to hug everyone. It's just very loving. It's probably, I've been to another community very similar to yours, but even that community wasn't as loving. So there's something about you that creates that dynamic culture of we are very much about love.
Yes, we are.
And I love that about you. And on the support note, a lot of people don't know how to get started. I mean, conceptually, they hear what you're saying, and they get, what you do. But putting all the pieces together, it can be it's a challenge for a lot of people. They really want someone to walk them, hand in hand. And you have this staircase. I actually stole that from you. The idea that you're on a staircase and there's a next step. And everyone's on a different staircase with a different next step. And that is what you're really, really good at. And one of the things that I look for in a coach and a speaker coach, per se. They also have to have a very strong understanding of selling, which you have, because I did the research on you, and what I discovered was you are really good at selling. You know how to sell. So when you add that component to giving a talk, it's really powerful because a lot of people might be really strong in one area, like, maybe performing, but might not be comfortable with how to ask for the sale. So they end up doing all these talks, and they get no sales, no customers, and then they convince themselves that it didn't work. And I really do believe that if people work with someone like you, you're going to show them how to make it work so that they don't, have a bad experience and then just throw in the towel. So do you want to share a little bit about your sales background and how you tie those pieces together?
You make me laugh when you say my sales background because, I used to work at a dress shop many years ago because I went to fashion school for a year, and that was probably the most boring job I ever had. So not that you have to tell all the ladies they look good in all the clothes. I didn't want to be inauthentic, so I didn't really exceed in that career. The thing is that all my selling, Michelle, has either been over the phone, successful selling has been over the phone or in front of the room for speaking. And I have really been a student for many years of how to make an effective offer from the front of the room, and then, of course, how to conduct successful sales conversations. And I teach that now because it is such an essential part of being successful in your business. And what I want to say about this is that, yes, there are techniques, there are, all these systems for selling. I'm going to give a very simple equation right now for massive sales. And the equation that I teach for massive sales is influence plus lots of sales conversations plus a clear invitation to buy, purchase, or sign up. And the reason I mention that because it doesn't matter how good your sales techniques are if you have no influence. And what speaking does is it builds insta influence because you give massive value to an audience and then you ask them to make an investment with you. Now, one big mistake people make is their ask is too big. If you spend 30 minutes with a group, don't offer your $2,500 coaching package. Offer your $97 one-day seminar or even a half-day seminar because an easy yes offer has a low price and a low time commitment. That's why even a half day is better than a day. Mm-hmm. My point, Michelle, here is that we cannot sell if we do not have influence. Doesn't matter how good you are at picking up the phone. And so that's why speaking is so awesome, because it helps us build influence.
I'm so glad you brought the influence up because I run a Public Speakers Association chapter, and we believe that you always should have something to offer when you get up and speak, and we always preach a book. And one of the advantages of working with you is you actually have a publishing company. And so and you also make it very easy so they don't have to write the entire book. They can write a chapter, and that chapter can actually be their keynote talk. So not only do you help equip them with the strategy on how to start that speaking career, but you also give them a strategy on how they can use a book to start that influence, to become known for something. Do you want to share a little bit about that before we...
Sure.
Yeah,
well, the great thing about a book is that it absolutely helps you get speaking engagements, and it absolutely builds your confidence, and it positions you as an expert. Nothing else does. So it's very important to have a book, because you will get booked over other speakers 100% of the time if they don't have a book. So that's essential. But the other thing is, you want to have info products that match your speeches and match your other offerings. And a book, of course, is an easy way to do that. And it does put you in this new category of author, that the only way you can get in that group is to have a book.
That is exactly what I was been talking about, is those books can be sold, they can be offered, they can reach your website, they can put an idea, an impression in someone's mind of who you are based on the type of material you write. And you've been doing the publishing for a lot of years as well, so you're not one of these fly-by-night companies that are deciding to be a book publisher. You've actually have had, I don't know how many books you've published, but I know there's a lot, and you've been around a long time. So you really are kind of a one-stop between the business and the speaking and the book. You really are helping a well-rounded, so anybody who wants a career in like a coaching, speaking, field, you really do supply all those needs. And I really love that about you.
Thanks, Michelle. Well, the reason I started my publishing company was because early in my speaking career, going back many years, I was in a book like this, a multi-author book, and it did help me get more speaking engagements, and it did raise my confidence. And when I went to speak at different places, they would buy a book for everybody in the audience. So my fee now was tripled because they bought a book for everybody. And that is a really great feeling. And then, of course, being able to, after an event, sign books for everybody and meet everybody, that's really something special. And then, of course, I found that my book got me booked over other speakers because they didn't have books. And then people wanted training on the topic that I was talking about in the book. So it's a win-win-win all around. The challenge, though, for many of us running businesses is we really just can't seem to find the time to write a whole book. And, of course, when you take time to write a book, that's what I would call more money later. And so you're taking away from your now money now because you're not making sales calls, you're not serving clients because you're writing your book. So that's why it's important to partner with a publisher like us who is providing really a 95% done-for-you service. You just have to whip up your chapter and we do the rest. And as a result of that, you get your book. You didn't have to do a ton of work because you used an experienced publisher. And as a result, you now are raising your status as an expert. You're being louder and prouder about the value you bring. You're getting booked for more speaking. You have another revenue stream. And it's a really important thing to do to move your speaking, coaching, training career forward.
Well, I just love it, and I love the fact that you have so many books that when you get into one of your book programs, you do allow people to look through some samples, and the material in those samples is phenomenal. And which brings me to another point. You have a community that really helps support everyone in your community through partner alliances. And I really love that because, when I started my group here in Las Vegas, I adopted that philosophy, and I told people, invite people to come to our group because those are the people I'm going to buy from. If I have to get my hair done, I'm not going to go to a stranger. I'm going to go to the people in my group. So if anyone knows a hairdresser, invite them because I'm going to do business with them. They're in my community.
That's great.
And I just adopted that philosophy because It feels so good to buy from your friends. It's that know, like, and trust, right? It's just sales and marketing 101, know, like, and trust. If I know someone and they have a business, I want to support them. I want to buy from them. And that's something that is rare, but it's not rare in your community. You want to tell us a little bit about that? What people can expect when they go to your event, and why people, at least the people that I know, they keep coming back. That's their favorite place to be. You know, even if it's once a year or twice a year, they just want to soak you up, but they also get hooked on the other people.
Well, Michelle, here's the thing that I think has happened in our community that now I'm teaching, because I didn't even know in the beginning that I had a value called community. I was just raised to treat people, I was raised to treat people well, be welcoming, be inclusive, and that's how I run my community. And, of course, everybody's community is a reflection of them. So the values by which I run my business, generosity, integrity, love, outstanding customer service, those are the values by which I run my business. They also are now the values by which I run my community. And so now we're consciously creating the community. And I'm thinking about, okay, we want to do an event for like an all-community event 4 times a year, because then people can keep coming back. It's all consciously created. And the first thing for people that are thinking about doing a community is to think about the values by which you want to run your community. Now, those values, of course, are best when they're congruent with your business values and congruent with the values by which you run your life. And let me just say here that when you have your own business, there should be no distinction between your personal values and your business values, because when you're being authentic in your business, you are running your business based on your values. So I run my life, my business, my community, all consistently based on my values, and therefore I attract women to our Thriving Women in Business community that are congruent with those values. You said earlier there's a lot of love in our community. Yes, there's a lot of love and support.
Yeah, no mean people allowed.
No mean people allowed. No cynics allowed. We are a group that is wanting to collaborate with each other, to support each other. And, as you know, I've asked people to leave my community when they were not congruent with the values in the community. And so it's really important that you consciously create your community like you're doing, Michelle, with your community in your area. And so I really want to say that get clear about how you want to do it, because it will happen anyway. And so the more you guide it by being conscious about creating community, the more that will happen. And know that your community will be a reflection of you. And so what reflection do you want it to be?
Right, exactly. Well, we're getting close to the end of the hour, but I wanted to dig in deeper into this idea of packages. One of the conversations I had taken out all my websites. I wanted to update them. And so all my packages are hidden from people right now. And one of the coaches that I was working with said, "You have no packages. How is anyone going to buy from you?" Is that kind of a comment? And I've been able to sell even without my packages being online. But there is truth to that, how you represent yourself in the world. And you have done something that a lot of people have not done that's really smart. And when I go to your website and I click on events, I can see several signature events from you. And so I'd like you to talk about those events and what time of year, they take place typically, so that there is no excuse. Anyone can be with Caterina all year long. They just have to go to your events page. And so I kind of want to talk about packaging for the new speaker and what you might recommend, and then also, again, talk about the events that you have right now at CaterinaRando.com that gives people an example of what you're about and what you can help them create for themselves when they do attend one of your events. Because I think people need to know what they can expect and what they're going to get out of your event. And, you know, I just look at how you live and how you show up in the world, and I think, if I can be like Caterina Rando, that's a pretty good thing. So with that said, give me your thoughts on that if you want to talk about each event and why you put that together.
Okay. Well, I'll start chronologically. In January, I do my annual Goals Gathering and Gala. This is a client appreciation event, one of two that I do every year. In January, we have a seminar to celebrate our goals and kick off our goals and set our goals for the year. And then we have a gala, which is, of course, a party where we visit and I give away awards on different things. Trusted Alliance Partner of the Year, Shooting Star, which is for someone new to our community who's really rocking their business. I give away Referral Partner of the Year award and some other awards for the women that I want to shine the spotlight on as really being exceptional over the course of the year in our community. I do have a rule that there's no Meryl Streeps in the group, meaning nobody's going to get an award more than once because we're a big community and want to share the wealth. And so it's an opportunity for me to appreciate my clients and give back to my clients. And then before the Goals Gathering and Gala, which happens in the afternoon and evening, I do a super VIP lunch, which is for all the people that have referred clients to me over the year. And anybody that I've paid a commission to over the year, anybody that has produced an event for me, they're invited to this, what I call my super VIP lunch, where I say thank you, I give them gifts, and really appreciate their support. That's how the year starts off, which is a great way to start off the year. Then in March, I do my second all-community event for the year, which is our Global Love Day. And Global Love Day is a fundraising day. We raise money for women and girls around the world and give money to 3 charities that my giving circle, I started a giving circle some years ago, supports. And so in our community, Michelle, we have the most coolest thing that I haven't seen in anybody's community, which is our Thriving Women in Business Giving Circle, which is an opportunity for women to give back throughout the year to women and girls. And just to sidebar and say, I really want to encourage everybody to have a philanthropy plan in their business. And we kick that off every year with Global Love Day. I have speakers from my community. We do a live auction. We do a silent auction. It's incredible. And then our third annual all-community event is in the summer. It's called Summer Success Splurge, and I have, again, women speakers from our community, and we celebrate the summer and have a great day of connection. And then later in the year, we haven't done this yet, but next year I'm planning to do our first annual conference where, again, we'll have speakers from our community, but we'll also have some more notable speakers from around the country that are a good match for me, that I think are a good match for our community. So that's the all community events. Then I do, if anybody's tired already,
I'm just laughing because you do have more events than anybody I know.
Yeah,
and they're all great. And I'm thinking, how do I become like Caterina Rando? I better get
thank
cracking,
you.
know?
Well, part of it is to have a team that supports you, because I'm the MC or I'm speaking at all of these events. Therefore, it is essential to have a team to support you. And we do our sought-after speaker summit, our business breakthrough summit. Those are 2-day events that we do throughout the year, and those are really a good place for people to start to connect with me and my community and really learn a ton about growing your business or how to become a sought-after speaker, which is all about using speaking to grow your business. And then I also do a 2-day event called the Enliven Summit, which is about planning, producing, and profiting with women's events and retreats. And this is a more elite VIP event where we have a focus on what it takes to be a event producer. Now, I say that, but it's not just about the production. It's about being a speaker or a community leader or a trainer that provides massive value and builds a unique brand and has people keep coming back. And, of course, we focus on your offers as well, because it's not just about getting the ladies together. It's about getting the ladies together, providing massive value, and then, of course, having a profitable event so that you can keep doing your thing. So those summits are 2 or 3 times a year for each one. And then, as you know, we have our annual luxury retreat for women entrepreneurs. The last one was in Hawaii. We're 2/3 sold out right now for next year. And that is a 4-day event where women come together. They get pampered. We focus on personal transformation. They connect. And it is a great model for how to do a luxury retreat. And then in addition to all of that, I have 6-month programs on speaking, on events, and on business that are the advanced programs. And these are smaller groups, maybe 20, 24 ladies in each group, and they support each other while learning a ton and catapulting their business. We just talked yesterday, we had Thriving Business, and we were talking about growing your business virtually, your virtual programs, building your list, building your brand. And, you know, we teach also in our other advanced program, doing events and retreats, the advanced program, about how to be a master facilitator, because it's not about just putting your curriculum together. It's about making everyone in the room feel seen, feel heard, having them feel like they can do whatever you're teaching them. And that master facilitation, I have an advanced program for as well, because it is about learning, but also putting on top of that your unique brand, your unique style, and really recognizing that value is not just about education. Value is so much more than just education, and that's what we focus on in that program. And then the last thing, Michelle, the last event
96
is,
events, I get it now.
Yes. The last event is that I have a year-long mastermind program called the Thriving Entrepreneur Elite Mastermind Program, and that is a small group, 8 ladies over the course of a year. We get together, we mastermind. I also do several things to promote these ladies over the course of the year, and it is for the serious, ambitious woman who wants to really have a great impact with her business. And we go to a more elite location for that with nature, and we have curriculum, but mostly it's really about masterminding and creating their plans and moving their business forward. And I love doing all of these events. They're all incredible. And the day I don't love it, I'll stop doing it, but I don't anticipate that day will ever come. And that is because I have clarity on who my people are, on how to serve them, and have figured out how to do it in a way that works for me while providing massive value for them and, of course, is monetizable. And I also have a virtual events program as well, and I do find that on the ground is so much more valuable for the participants.
Well, all your programs are wonderful, and that the clarity word that you used is absolutely true for you. There is no rock unturned in your program, any of them, and they're very next step focused, so people don't get lost in too many moving pieces or try to do too many things at once. They're able to monetize quickly because you help them focus on the next step, the right step. At least that's my opinion, since, being around you and knowing your community a little bit. And so I really love that you're clear, organized. Everything is well put together. They leave with their binders. They know what to do when they walk out of there. In fact, some people actually do the work, at some of your events, because you will offer,
yes,
extra VIP at an event if they want to participate in that while they have you in front of them. So this has been a great call. Is there any tips that you want to mention before we get ready to wrap it up, and I'll tell people how to get a hold of you? Mm-hmm.
Sure. The thing that I want to emphasize is that it's very important that if people have a desire to do any of this, do events, build a community, do their own seminars or retreat or whatever, is that they get started. I have a client who in last March said to me, Caterina, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do a retreat. And she said to me, I'm going to do it in October, which was several months away. And I said to her, no, my friend, you're going to do it in 6 weeks. And she did her first one-day retreat in 6 weeks. And by the time October rolled around, she had done 6 retreats. She had profited 6 times. She had upgraded her event 6 times. She had built her confidence and increased her confidence 6 times. And of course, her business was flourishing, because when you push off doing whatever it is you want to do, you push off the experience, you push off the monetization, you push off the new clients. And my super tip for everyone, Michelle, who is listening, is get going. If we're talking about an intro event, you can do an intro this time next week. If we're talking about a half-day seminar, you can do it in 4 weeks. If we're talking about a retreat, you can do it in a one-day event. You can do it in 6 weeks or less. If you have and here's what I tell my ladies when they say, well, how do I get started? Pick a date, pick a price, because as soon as you have a date and a price, somebody can sign up. And if you don't even have a location, don't worry about it. Just start with a date and a price. I'm doing an event next Friday, and I just found my location, 3 days ago, and the event is already sold out. It's no problem. Sometimes you have difficulty with venues. As long as you find one in time, you just have to say, well, it's going to be in this general geographic area. My super tip, Michelle, is get going. Do it now. Do not wait. There is so much value for you to have delivered when you start immediately.
And it's also a mindset. And I know that you have free gifts. Do you have any free gifts that when people go to your site or they go to Events We Like /Caterina to find out your special
yeah, my friend, well, we can put a free audio on there for $50K in a day, how to earn $50K in a day with your own events and retreats. Or they can go, so if you want to put it on your site, that's fine. Or they can go to enlivensummit.com /50K in a day. We've got a free audio there on that. We've also got free audio at CaterinaRando.com on how to grow your business. I got a lifetime
There's
supply
a lot of goodies that we can put together.
Stuff. Yeah, a lot of great stuff. And the most important thing really is to get clear about who you serve, get clear about who you are, which is about getting clear on the values by which you run your life and your business, and get busy serving your people. And the more you serve your people, the more there's nothing you will want to do more than serve your people. Well,
this has been the best call. This has really been a a complete packaged call. Anyone out there listening who has bits and pieces of their business, but there's still some holes in your process, Caterina can fill in those holes. If you are just starting out and you really need someone to take you by the hand to climb that stair of case of success, next step, one step at a time, again, Caterina. So hopefully you will take the time to listen to this call more than once. I also will have a transcription of this call so you can read it. But it is truly valuable, and she did offer a lot of tips. So hopefully you'll go to one of her events, and if nothing else, please do take her up on her free offers, because then you'll get to know her a little bit more, and then decide for yourself when you're ready to join her live and in person. Caterina, you have just been such a delight and a pleasure to have on our Events We Like call. Is there anything that you want to close with?
Well, so many things I could close with. I will just say, be yourself, do your thing, serve your people, and when you do that, you will massively monetize your mastery. Don't wait. Get busy right now, because your people are waiting for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Until next time, Events We Like. Bye, everyone.